Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We hope you're keeping very safe and well out there. Thank you for joining us for our Europa Conference League nights on the Last Word on Spurs. If you're listening to the show for the very first time, you can find us on iTunes, on Spotify, or on Audio Boom. We're across a range of different audio platforms. We're, of course, on Twitter at Last Word on Spurs. We're on Facebook and Instagram too. And I'm pleased to be welcoming back returning guests to the Last Word on Spurs. On my top right, I'm looking at the man who loves these Conference League nights. I've got Jason McGovern back on the show. Jace, how are you?
All right, mate. A win tonight's a win, isn't it? And more important for Villa. But yet the checker trade lived up to its name tonight. And for the first hour, I was exhilarated. Off me seat.
I never thought I'd hear the term exhilarated and Europa Conference League in the same bracket. But such is life. That is, I say, these Thursday nights that we're living and evolving through. Also, pleased to have him back on the show. Always great to have him on. Got a special section towards the end, which I'm sure a lot of you guys that are regular listeners, you know what's coming. We've got the brilliant Richard Cracknell back on the Last One on Spurs. Rich, how are you?
Evening, Rick. Evening, Jace, Roska, and everybody tuning in. How old am I? Tuning in on the internet, eh? Yeah, I think I was Godzilla-rated during that game. I don't know about exhilarated. It was like mess. Listen, it's a 5-1 win, but devil's in the detail there, and the way everything panned out, and shambles and a mess. So, but listen, before I go, carry on, Rick. It's your show. I'm just but a guest.
We're going to get into it, Rich. Don't you worry. We're going to have a lot to say on this show as always, and also pleased to have back on the show producer, remixer and DJ. We've got Roska joining us. Roska, back on the show. How are you, my friend? You well?
Yes, all good, man. Good to be back as well, man. I'm always listening in as well. So I didn't listen to the Arsenal one. I was literally so stressed from that one. But yeah, generally I'm listening all the time. I was listening when Crackers was taking over when you was on maternity leave. So yeah, man, I'm here. I'm always here. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, good to be back. Good to have a win, I guess. But I mean, it's kind of expected. Again, yeah, just looking at the Villa game. And hopefully we can get something on the weekend.
I'm not going to lie, Roska. Do you know what? I thought when I had that break, I thought I got myself out of real trouble. And now I'm getting it back actually tenfold. So I know Rich jokingly, whenever I speak to Rich, I know he's laughing away thinking, I've got him back now. I thought I was giving him this absolutely horrendous thing to look after. And I kind of come back to 3 great wins at the start of the season. And they just seem to just completely just decapitate from there onwards. So really looking forward to what we've got to come this season. I cannot wait for what's coming our way. But do you know what? Jace has come to you to start. Spurs, we are back to winning ways. It's a comfortable 5-1 win over NŠ Mura. I think it's good to see Harry Kane come on, grab a hat-trick in that final half an hour or so. Spurs topping Group G on goal difference now, ahead of Rennes, who beat Betis this evening. What did you make of that showing down the lane tonight?
Well, you say comfortable, but, you know, an hour in it was 2-1 and we had to bring on the big guns. That's how comfortable it was. You know, we were 2 up in 8 minutes. You think, you know, we should go in at half time 4 or 5, and then the tempo drops and it becomes a mix of the checker trade. It becomes a mix of a pre-season friendly of players that are out of form, low on confidence, players that you know, just individuals in a team at the moment without showing real qualities, and it kind of just drifts then to half time. Second half, you know, they get their goal. I'm not so sure they deserve to score, but they get a goal, and suddenly the complexity of the game changes. And we're thinking, be nice to see Harvey White come on, be nice to see 1 or 2 of the younger players, nice to give Scarlett a game. And suddenly Nuno's thinking, if my job's on the line, I better bring on some of the big guns, and we got to make sure we win this rather than it going to 2-2. So on comes the big guns, and Harry delivers, doesn't he? Gets his hat-trick, the first one, I think, since Boxing Day at Wembley. I can't remember the last one, but I think it was Southampton Boxing Day at Wembley, wasn't it? Yeah. The last one. I know he got a few hat-tricks all in 1 month that month, didn't he? I think so. But I think that's the last one. So good for him to come on. 3 composed finishes, and 5-1 in becomes the final score. But like I say, we never looked like losing the game, and yes, we was always in control of it. But you know, 2-1 after 58 minutes or something against a side as poor as them, that it hardly inspires you with lots of confidence, does it? And you're thinking these are the players that have got a show for Sunday. But the only thing I would say with that is, honestly, if we're honest, if you played really well against Mora, is that really enough to guarantee you a start against Villa? Probably not anyway. And I think some of those players probably know that deep down. I mean, Gio gets a goal and a couple of assists, but do you judge Gio against Mura or do you judge Gio on the last year in the Premier League? That's the thing, isn't it? So I think players kind of know that. And it's just a low motivation competition. I mean, I joked with us in amongst the group. None of us were really buzzing for the game tonight, were we? We're all thinking, "Oh God, Tottenham are on TV." We're not. We've 2 nights where I've looked forward to watching, Man City and Paris and Chelsea and Juve, and then you're suddenly thinking, "Oh God, it's checker trade night." I mean. I'm sure the players feel that too. And on the back of Sunday's game, and it's just difficult times, mate. Difficult times.
Yeah, and we're going to come on to those difficult times, I'm sure, throughout the show. Rich, let's come around to you. 5-1 to Spurs, who threatened to rout at the start. But let's be honest about it. They got into a bit of trouble. Had to bring on the big guns, I feel, to kind of almost, I won't say see out the game, but try and make it a bit more composed and in control. Obviously, Kane getting his hat-trick. Son and Lucas with the assist as well. Can they take any newfound confidence into that Villa game? Is it too early to kind of look into that? What do you think? What do we see on the back of a performance like that for you?
I don't think you can take anything from it, Rick. To be honest, they're 337th in the UEFA coefficiency. We're 14th.
And I must say they're the lowest ranking team in the whole competition as well.
Oh, they're just exactly. So, I mean, this is a bigger chasm than when we played Marine. So, I mean, that gives you some sort of clue of what it was tonight. And then we see the last half hour with Son and Kane on and everybody coming on. And to me, going 2-1 down, he needs to be looking at people like Scarlett and some of these fringe players and Doherty. So I would have rather have seen Nuno go, well, hang on a minute. You've got us into this mess. Let's see what you've got. Let's see what character you've got now. Like, the muck and bullets are coming in at you and Mura had their towels up. Show me what you can do, because if I can see some character from you lot to dig us out of this and go up and steady the ship and go and get a third when I had some confidence, then, you might be beginning to tell me that I can trust you in the Premier League. On maybe even on Sunday or going forward in other games. But he didn't. What he done was he's oiked them all off. He's given them all the shepherd's crook, and on the big guns come. But that also then tells me something about Nuno, that like he's not got confidence in himself, and that things like have gone bad since those first 3 games. And he's just he's hit the panic button tonight and gone, well, I better hit the nuclear button here and put Kane and Son on. So that tells me a hell of a lot about Nuno. And honestly, Rick, he looks out of his depth. But I was thinking to myself with Nuno, do you know what? He seems a nice guy. When he first came in, cuddly old Uncle Nuno, I'm going to make you proud of this team and everything. But at the start of the game, when Jeff Brazier went to interview him for BT Sport, he wasn't just short with him, he was damn rude. He was so rude to Jeff Brazier. Now, like, listen, I'll make a member's declaration here. I'm a friend of Jeff's. So
and I must say, we've got Jeff coming on Sunday, so I'm sure we'll ask him about that as well.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a pal of Jeff, so people might turn around and say, yeah, but you're mates with Jeff Brazier, you would say that. I don't care who'd been interviewing Nuno, I'd have still found him just as rude. And listen, I mean, we went in on Jose so many times. Soon as Jose farted, we was all over him, wasn't we? Oh, Jose said this, Jose's done that.
Apart from Jason, I
was always nice to him.
He used to get hammered, didn't he? Anytime he stepped out of line, Jose, he got absolutely hammered by those that didn't like him. I didn't like Jose managing the club, but let's be fair and consistent. If that had been Jose tonight being that rude to the BT Sports interviewer, he would have got hammered for it. Absolutely hammered. So I'm not even seeing the nice cuddly Nuno now either. He's a man who looks out of his depth, worried, getting rude. I mean, his body language on the sideline this evening as well. He just looked so uncomfortable. Dele came off and looked like he'd had enough. And I don't know. It's just unravelling in front of us, and we're 6. I know it's only 6 games in, but he just looks absolutely out of his depth. And tonight there was devil in the detail. Forget the 5-1 scoreline. The way everything panned out just set so many alarm bells off for me. It's a real worry. And come Sunday, I think that's all getting exposed against Villa, because you can't take anything from the performances. Lo Celso tonight, people saying, like, you know, Clive Allen, another guy I'll get on very well with and I do my Legends nights with, was waxing lyrical about Lo Celso. But like, Spurs would have had harder training games like, you know, on a Wednesday morning than that tonight. So you can't take anything at all from what he's done tonight, nothing whatsoever. So, you know, rant and rave about, like Jason said, about Lo Celso's performance tonight. No, go and do it Sunday and set 3 up and look like that against Villa rather than like Mura, and then we'll talk. Until then, I'm out, as they say on another TV show. So worrying signs, Rick. Worrying signs. Lovely that we won, but you know, there is devil in the detail.
Sounds like you're really behind him, Rich. we're going to come on. We are going to come on to him shortly.
He's behind him on the top of a cliff. That's where he's behind him.
Just waiting to push him. We're going to come on to him in a bit more detail shortly. But Roska, let's come around to you. Spurs comfortable in the end, I think is probably the phrase to put it, because obviously Kane's hat-trick saw us over the line, and people will be asking, will that now kickstart Spurs this season in like a different context? Nuno's triple sub, if that was in a maybe Premier League game and it was against more of a quality opposition, it would be seen as a masterclass. But Spurs, you do feel really should be getting through those kind of games with some of the players they're having to put into the first team, really. In terms of what I mean by that is, the likes of Winks, Doherty, and players that aren't first team regulars should be enough to be able to see these games out. And it's a concern, I think, that he's having to, as Richard said, deploy, bringing the bigger guns on to see out a game like that. But I mean, it's just the guy, he's under massive pressure at the moment. What did you make of that performance and result tonight? Is there much you can take away from that ahead of the Villa game?
Not really. I mean, just like Jason and Richard said, it's just one of those games. It's like we expect them to win. You expect them to win. The players on the field that started should have done well. They should have done better. I felt like the first 15, 20 minutes was really good. But it just Dele, Doherty, you just like Winks, you saw them disappear halfway through the game, and then, just seeing having to bring on, Mura, Son and Kane halfway, into the second half. It's like, it's a rescue mission after a while. Do you know what I mean? Because they could have equalized. They were hungry for it. You could see they was trying to get back into the game, even though they didn't have much possession. But I don't know. It just felt like we should have seen that game through with who was on the pitch. Scarlett, I think he played well, but I feel like he needs a bit more aggression in his game. He felt a bit timid on the ball a lot of times. I felt he was on the floor quite a few times as well. But overall, it's not one of those games I can say, yeah, great. Let's move on to Villa. We're going to do well based off that. So yeah, if we had a better opposition, then I'd say something different. But yeah, that's how I feel about that.
Roscoe, I want to stick with you. We'll bring into context now the manager, because obviously that's been the real talking point over the course of the last week or two. First 3 games of the season, he steers Spurs to wins in the Premier League, wins the Manager of the Month. Subsequently, since then, it's 3 defeats on the spin, and he's under huge pressure. And I don't think I've actually seen, in my time supporting Tottenham, I'm showing my age now, 32, but in my lifetime, as bad as it's got, I don't think I've ever seen Spurs fans called for a manager's head after 6 games. And believe me, we've had some shockers in my time.
Yeah.
The likes of Christian Gross, the likes of One Day Ramos, when I think back, Jacques Santini. But with Nuno, even those first 3 wins, there was definitely a feeling amongst the Spurs fans that I speak to that the style of those wins and the manner of them just wasn't convincing. And the minute we hit that bit of trouble where we had that defeat to Palace, but we had a huge amount of injuries, Chelsea are arguably going to be a side that are going to go on and win the league. First half wasn't too bad. Second half was appalling. And the Arsenal game, in terms of the way we set up and performed, the worry thing is amongst a lot of Spurs fans is that we still should be in this new manager bounce zone. And yet we had 3 defeats on the spin. You've got a situation tonight where he's changed the team up to give some of the youth players a chance. But again, he's had to bring on some of the bigger players in order to rescue the game. So is he under massive pressure, in your opinion, at the moment, Nuno, Oscar?
Yeah, I think so. I think you know, the first 3 games definitely was new manager bounce, but also we played okay. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like the last 3 games we've just been exposed for what we, you know, the tactics that Nuno is meant to be giving us. I'm sure he was meant to be playing sort of like, you know, attacking, sexy football, but we're not. We're playing far from that, you know. And I feel like, you know, Aston Villa game, he's got to prove himself. He's got to show that, you know, he's got the team. You know, obviously we're seeing a lot of articles, tweets going about saying he's lost the changing room and stuff like that. I don't really read into him too much, but you know, because it happens quite a lot. But you know, in terms of, you know, those sort of tweets and what have you. But I feel like, yeah, he's got a lot to prove on Sunday. Like, you know, how is he going to set up? You know, has he got the team? Has he got Kane as well? You know, I'm even surprised Kane's in the England squad. You know, considering how well he's played the last few games as well. It's kind of been, you know, non-existent. So yeah, that's how I feel about, you know, how they've generally set up and how how Nuno set up.
Yeah, I mean, Jace, I'll be honest with you. I mean, in my time of knowing you, over 5-6 years, and we've been doing the show. I mean, we've had some crazy times doing this, but I don't think 6 games into a manager's reign, as Nuno's caliber of manager, I didn't think we'd be discussing his future at this moment. But you know, question on the screen there from Bob, who says, "Why are we expecting any more from Nuno? He's a manager who was in charge of a mid-table team in Wolves, who played pragmatic football. Please explain why we're expecting more. Big up." Now, what do you think, Jason Nuno? Because, you know, in the time of me knowing you, you've always been fairly level-headed. You've always been very calm in terms of, you know, a new manager coming in that needs time to embed their philosophy, you know, take the players under his wing in terms of showing them their ideas. And for a man that is so obstinate in terms of the style of football being so important, where are you on Nuno's future?
Well, you know me, I've always said style of football is beyond any question for me. That has to be. You know, you can lose games. You can have players that aren't particularly good and just put lots of effort in, but you should never, ever, ever lose the philosophy of playing the style of football. And there is no excuse for not playing the way that Tottenham Hotspur want to play. It may be that you try and play it and the opposition stop you. Then a bit like Chelsea did, in which case you have to say, well, good luck, the opposition were better than us. But it's when you don't set out to play that way that I have a problem with it. That's why I always had a problem with Jose, as I say, that Fulham game last year when we were playing a relegated team at home and we're 1-0 up and sitting back. That for me is just inexcusable. And, you know, with Nuno's style of football, I think that the question is right. We've seen them, you know, their running stats were 19th and 20th in his 2 years there. So it's no surprise to find us 20th. They don't score in the first half of 83 of the 118 games. So it's no surprise that we're sitting back and waiting for things to happen. We're not on that front foot. I thought in the Chelsea game, we saw something in that first 45 minutes. It wasn't great, don't get me wrong. I'm certainly not sitting here saying that was good enough, but at least it was probably the best 45 minutes. And at least we looked to get on the front foot and looked to try and create things against a really good side, in fairness, in Chelsea. So, you know, that was the thing. You've got to take that on, but then the second half we just got absolutely hammered, and I think that probably put the fear of Christ into him, and he thought, I can't play that way again. Rather than thinking we played that way in the first half and got hammered in the second half when we didn't play that way. But it was as if that, you know, a bit like the West Ham comeback freaked Jose out, and we could never go and play front foot football after that. So I think we're seeing what Wolves fans have seen for a long time, and it's not good enough. But you know, the fact of the matter is, I think part of the problem for him is under pressure, because we all know none of us really wanted him, and he knows the club didn't really want him. It doesn't take you 72 days to appoint a manager if you really want him. Tottenham Hotspur sat back we were managerless and watched Nuno go for an interview at Crystal Palace. And suddenly we're taking on a manager that we were quite happy to see go to Crystal Palace. We didn't let him go and speak to Liverpool or Manchester United. We let him go and speak to Crystal Palace, for God's sake.
And by all accounts, Jace, even worse to that, can I add that I think he was actually on the original shortlist from Tottenham, only to not even be looked at as a potential candidate because they favoured other managers. So you're right in what you say there. Yeah,
you know, and we all know that, and that will obviously add to the pressure. And the person who knows that more than anyone is Nuno himself. Nuno himself knows that. So, you know, I can understand. I can understand him tonight thinking, I'm in big trouble already. The crowd want me out. If this goes to 2-2, despite wanting to give youngsters a chance, I'm toast. So he ends up having to force to bring Kane and such on. It's not easy for him. Do I want him out after 6 games? I probably do. But the problem with getting him out is, as we found in the summer, is who the hell takes over. And that is our problem. And let's be honest, I don't know the truth of the matter, but if Graham Potter in the summer, who was at Brighton, turned down Tottenham Hotspur, then that shows you the problem we're in, that you'd sooner stay at Brighton. And not being funny, lots of people talking about Graham Potter. I remember when Graham Potter's name was linked. I don't think there was too many people wanting Graham Potter to get the job. So we've got to be honest.
No, I wasn't. But looking back now, when I think about the style of football they're playing, and him as an individual, I think I would now take a rain check. But
exactly.
Rich,
I mean, fans are always a little bit knee-jerk in the same way in the summer that, you know, I'm now seeing, you know, it seems like 90% of Spurs fans are saying we should have sold Kane, but in the summer, you know, 90% of fans wanted to keep him. So, well, you know, suddenly the season starts, he doesn't score. We should have got rid of Kane. I told you we should have taken the money, but nobody was saying that back in June and July when it was all going on. So be honest amongst ourselves as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. Rich, coming over to you. Just before I do, I just want to read a flavour of some of our listener questions that have come in, over, I think, 25 of them. So thank you so much. Literally straight after the game. Nikki at Highland Spurs 1 says, good performance. I know we all become elite managers when we lose and start giving advice to coaches, but do you think it would be better for us to go to a 4-2-3-1, not convincing the players to work to a 4-3-3? Nikki, we are coming on to the formation during the show, so we'll definitely answer that. Peter at Happy Feet 84 says, embarrassing we had to bring on our big guns. Dele needs to be dropped, full stop. Nuno panicked because he's one poor result away from the chop. Ed Exon says, would you agree that Mura had a better attacking pattern than Spurs? If they had slightly better players, the result would have been less favourable. We'll come on to that as we discuss the game as well. Mark at 19SR says, do you think certain players have had enough of other players in the squad? When Mura scored, the body language on the Spurs players was saying all sorts. Dele didn't look happy at all. Gio played well, I thought. And the key question I want to ask you, Rich, this is from John Wardell, who says, can anyone put their finger on the real problem at Spurs? Lethargic, ponderous, play for 60 minutes, then the subs come on and change the game completely and possibly saved Nuno's job tonight. Would you go as far as that, you know, a bad result tonight would have given his job away? I mean, because I think the Villa game is very crucial. It's a home game, and we've seen during the week with Spurs that, you know, they actually have now got to a point where they're allowing season ticket holders to purchase up to 5 extra tickets to try and fill that stadium. Now, surely that in itself tells you that they really are struggling here to get that stadium full for the home games. And this is a stadium that, let's be honest about it, it's at a massive waiting list in general, and now we can't even fill it. I mean, what do you make of it?
Well, these waiting lists, you know, they're not worth the paper they're written on, because you can all go and put your name on a waiting list. I can go and put my name on a waiting list for a Rolls-Royce Phantom that comes out next year. But when they phone me up and say, oh, Mr. Cracknell, like, you know, your first deposit of 50 grand is due, I'm going to go, oh, yeah, well, yeah, about that. Like, you know, it's maybe not. So, you know, waiting lists, schmating lists, really, isn't it? Until people hand over their money, that they're not season ticket holders. And this is like, every time I said this, how many people are going to hand over their money for a season ticket? And everybody went, yeah, but there's 60-odd thousand. But if 59,000 people are like me on the Rolls-Royce Phantom waiting list, you've only got 1,000. So they mean nothing. Like, they create them to make people go, oh, I better buy one because, like, you know, I'm 45,000 and there'll be 14,000 behind me and somebody will take it and I won't be able to get it. But people are beginning to vote with their feet, Rick. You know, it's like things have changed since the pandemic as well. People maybe don't want to devote so much time to football and go and do other things, you know, and family pressures and, like, well, you know, we were shutting doors with the kids for 18 months, a year, whatever it was. Let's start going out as a family a bit more in case we all get locked up again. So, you know, money pressures as well. It's a lot of money to go to football now. And it's like, it's really a lot of money to go to Spurs. It's the dearest in Europe. So you bring all those elements together and ask people to pay that sort of money to go and watch that. people ain't going to buy tickets. They're just not going to go along another piece of it. So, and this is probably the only way you are going to get the current owners of the club to listen or maybe change is when you speak to their wallets. Then their ears will listen. Us, gathered round a microphone and internet and the four corners of the earth moaning, they won't take a blind bit of notice. Matt Law writing won't take a bit of notice. The Athletic writing won't take a blind bit of notice. People jumping up and down on the high street, God bless them, won't take a bit of notice. They're impervious to it. They listen to their bank account. Now, when that gets hit, then they'll go, oh, hang on a minute, we've got a problem. So you can't serve this up and expect the tills to keep rolling. Eventually, everybody finds their breaking point, and you start to hear moderate people, measured people that are going, I just can't watch this anymore. I can't, what are they doing? What's their game plan? There's the problem. Like Jason was saying, some front foot football. Where's our DNA? Where's our style? There's nothing that you can currently hang your coat on. There's no hook to hang your coat on at the moment with Spurs. I don't know who we are, what we're representing, what the style of football is. I don't know the direction of the football club from the top down to the team and everywhere. I know the direction of the club for events, like at the stadium. It was quite clear when AJ fought what they're doing, and boy, didn't they do a great job. It was spectacular. The stadium looked spectacular. They put on a great event. So you certainly saw the DNA there. Is that
part of the problem, Rich? Can I ask you on that? Because I know you were very vocal. I heard you recently on another show saying, in discussing that, and we actually had a discussion on Monday as well about that. How much of that is a distraction when, you've got an event like that, which, like you said, it was superbly staged on Saturday. You can't question just how superb the stadium looked for that event. But the problem is, as Spurs fans, we want to see that investment on the pitch. We want to see the investment within the squad. We want to see the club growing as a whole, not just for the stadia, not just for the NFL, not just for concerts, not just for, Pixie Lot or all these different, obviously, the artists out there. We want to see Spurs bringing the trophies actually on the pitch, playing a vibrant brand of football. Well, I don't understand why we can't have both. I don't think that's demanding to want both, is it?
No, not at all. And part of me gets that, we're trying to grow the club organically and bring the money in, and hopefully the money generated from concerts, from boxing, from everything goes into the football side. I don't know if it will. You'd probably need somebody, a finance expert, to come on and explain what happens to that money. So I get we need to do that and grow us organically, because there's other clubs in the country that have taken the shilling from certain parts of the world with very, very questionable human rights issues and that. So, that throws up a whole different thing. So the way we're doing it is a solid, ethical way of growing the club, having all these events, if that money goes in and improves the football. As I say, whether that happens or not, I don't know. But then another part of me thinks, well, I don't care if, Lady Gaga's playing there on Saturday night. I want to see, Harry Kane playing there on a Saturday night. It's like the way Harry Kane plays bothers me, and the way the team plays and the players in the team bother me. Not who's picking up a guitar, who's picking up a ball 30 yards out and curling one into the top corner, in the Champions League semi-final or something. That's what really bothers me. But see, the club know this, Rick. If Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters phones up Daniel Lee, and he goes, "Oh, hello, Daniel. It's Dave Grohl here from the Foo Fighters. Want to hire the stadium next summer for a concert?" And Daniel goes, "Okay, yeah, it's £500,000." And he goes, "Oh, you're having a laugh, and I'm going to hire Wembley for 600,000 and get 30,000 more in." But Daniel turns around and says, "Yeah, but have you seen our stadium and what we can offer you for acoustics and lighting and facilities and da-da-da-da?" They've made it absolutely spectacular. They've made it the only show in town now in London for an event. But they do know also that if they can't come to an agreement with a band, with a boxing promoter, they can go, "Yeah, no problem. We'll go Wembley. We'll go down to West Ham's ground. We'll go Arsenal's ground. We'll go here, there's probably 9, 10 different arenas that you can play in London. Now phone Daniel Levy up as a Spurs fan and say, oh, hello, Daniel, I'd like a ticket, please, for Saturday's game. Yeah, that's 90 quid, please. 90 quid? Yeah, that's what we're charging. You can't turn around and go to 9 or 10 of the other London clubs. You can't go, oh, no, well, I won't bother this Saturday. I'll go Arsenal, I'll go Chelsea, I'll go Orient, I'll go Fulham.
You Spurs,
Don't
aren't you?
work like
Spurs.
that. They know,
Yeah,
they know they've got you. They know
Yeah.
they've got you. So they know that they don't have to put so much into us as fans as they do attracting people for the events. So, you know, they're cynical businessmen and people at the end of the day. They know that. They know they've got you. And they just seem to just put enough in to keep it going, to keep you interested there or thereabouts. But it's now reaching a point where they're not putting enough in to keep you interested. So let's see. It's going to be an interesting couple of years for them if this sort of like levels of what they're putting into the football continues.
Yeah, let's switch it back to Nuno. Let's come around to you, Roska. A question on the screen there. I presume Nathan's referring to the display tonight. He said, where was this against Chelsea and Palace? I know we played a Slovenian team, but we should have beaten Arsenal easily. I think we all know that Arsenal game, we haven't beaten Arsenal at the Emirates since 2010, a long time ago. But just generally into context now for Nuno, it's a very big weekend for him, you feel, this Aston Villa game. We are going to come on to some of the player performances in terms of who we obviously took on tonight, in terms of NŠ Mura, and a break in a second. But before we do, does that ease any pressure for you on Nuno, or is it a case where tonight really it's a meaningless game in the context of what Spurs' season is about generally?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I expected us to win that. We should have won it more comfortably. I feel like there were players that even in that game they should have played way better. You know, we had we put up some good passes, some good set pieces. So I felt like overall the game was good in that sense. But still, you know, defense still looks shaky. You know, Winks up. You know, I'm not even sure what he really does anymore. And it's like, you know, that's the only thing. I can't really take anything from that and say, yeah, we're going to look good against Villa. Do you know what I mean? And it's not even a thing where I could say, yeah, we're going to gain confidence from that and go into Villa. Do you know what I mean?
I agree. I think at the moment, you know, these performances, the problem is that when you break them down and you look at some of the context behind them, it's hard to see any structural rhythm. And I think, again, with a game like today, when you're making that many changes, you are going to lose a bit of fluidity. You are going to lose a bit of rhythm. Naturally, you are, because you're making that amount of changes. But I think there should still be a constant of a certain brand of football that you can get behind. And, you know, we are going to discuss that after the break. We are going to delve deeper in terms of some of the players of that game. So taking into this break, you are going to hear from Nuno Espirito Santo, who gives his thoughts on the back of that 5-1 win. And then after that, if for our listeners on audio, you're going to be obviously hearing our thoughts in terms of what we made of that game generally and some of the player performances. For our watching audience live on YouTube, and thank you ever so much, we're going to come into that right now. Jace, ahead of the game, team news obviously breaking. We saw Spurs generally Nuno changing it up a little bit. We had team-wise Oliver Skipp and Brian Hill both impressing that second half against Arsenal, although it was a horrendous game, as we know, both coming into that starting lineup. Joe Rodon was back in the team alongside summer signing Christian Romero. Lo Celso also back in the team. We saw Matt Doherty, Sergio Reguilon at right back and left back respectively. Harry Winks, who missed out on previous matchday squads, was recalled to the starting 11 to the joy of one of our very close friends that I will not mention his name. Dele Alli captained the side as well. I found that quite bizarre, but again, that's probably based on maybe the age of the squad that went out there. And Dane Scarlett, who was deliberately only given 45 minutes for the under-23s on Monday, was given a start. The likes of Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, Lucas Moura, Tungi Ndombele, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg were among the substitutes. I know we had a brief interaction, Jace, on WhatsApp when that team came out. Well, was that what you were roughly expecting, Jace?
I was surprised he started Scarlett, I must admit. Other than that, probably wasn't that far off the team that I thought we'd see. Let's be honest, he could have left any of the 10 out from the weekend game. But the problem that we've got at the moment, and the team comes out and why is Dele here? Why is Winks in the team? Why is this happening? But you think, well, and I think one of the questioners, I think earlier said, or why is Dele in the team? but you're thinking, who should be in midfield? We've got to rest Højbjerg, so we're going to call Skip in, but none of us want Winks in, none of us want Dele in, none of us want Ndombele in, none of us want Lo Celso in. Who's going to play? Sissoko's been sold. So, you're in that stage now, aren't you? None of us want to see... I'm surprised Jaffet didn't play, if I'm honest, but, he didn't necessarily deserve to keep his place. But we are in that stage where, even when you bring Lucas Moura in, are any of us really deep down thinking, God, I want to see Lucas Moura play tonight? There's another one. None of us are sitting there thinking, I wish Bergwijn was singing. Brian Hill play tonight. Did he really get us off our seats tonight? It's looked tidy, a few nice touches, but actually, what did he achieve? Not a lot. So did he really force his way into the Villa game? Probably not. It's a bit like that, isn't it? It's, whichever team, if he picks Eric Dyer, everyone moans, why is Eric Dyer in there? So he picks Sanchez, why is Sanchez in the team? You're in that stage. I can't stand the sight of Reguilon, but Reguilon plays at left back, and if he don't play, Ben Davies does, and everyone goes loopy with that. So, in fairness to Nuno, I don't know what his team sheet can be. His team sheet, whichever he picks at the moment, his team sheet, there's about 7 or 8 players that none of us want to see on the pitch. But you can't go into a game with 3 players.
No, and that's very true. I think the problem at the moment is that, because of just how much anger there is towards a lot of that squad, like you said there, whoever he picks out of the 11, I think 7 or 8 of them are going to get a batter in whoever he selects, which is quite ridiculous, really. But Roska, I want to come around to you actually on this point before I come to Rich, because Rich and Jason have probably done Dele Alli to death on the last few weeks of this show. So I think it's only right to have a fresh voice on Dele. Obviously, back in the team, obviously he played against Arsenal, but was hauled off, but he was in a 4-2-3-1 tonight, and it paid dividends very early on for Dele. He profited to win an early penalty. Obradovic brought him down. He was marking his 50th European appearance with a goal. As I said, looked to be playing a bit more higher in that number 10 role, which we familiarised Dele with in those first couple of seasons where he played ever so well, had that breakthrough. I know many thought that, again, Dele, although he got the goal, was very sloppy throughout the game and much of his play after the goal. I think it's fair to say he does divide a lot of opinions. And I think with Dele now, it's coming to a point where many feel he actually slows the game down for Spurs. So where are you on Dele? Because it's good to get a fresh voice. Does he have a future at Tottenham, in your opinion?
I think he does need a move away. I mean, it would have been nice for him to get that. Was it a loan? It was a loan move to PSG, wasn't it? Was it January? He was meant to get.
Well, linked with a loan. I mean, I think many are kind of suggest. I think many are suggesting that maybe if he got a loan like Jesse Lingard got at West Ham, that might have done him the world of confidence.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the first like 20 minutes, I felt like Dele he had a nice little bit of freedom, and you felt like you got the old Dele back, and it was good. It was good to see him like getting up, moving about, and I think just him being captain maybe gave him that extra boost. But after that, I didn't really see much of him. I felt like he looked lost in the game, a bit similar to Winks as well. And like I always say, it's like I feel like the players from the Poch era, I feel like the tough rebuild that Poch always spoke about. I feel like those players are part of it. They need to actually move on. I do like Dele. I've always liked Dele, the way he plays, but unfortunately, like I feel like he needs that move away. And unfortunately, I feel like a lot of these players are, they're not as good as we want them to be, better than they actually are. Do you know what I mean? In terms of, we've gone to Champions League, we've gone to the heights of Champions League, gone to the final, and with these players, but I feel like even those guys were punching above their weight class in that sense. We done really well, and we had a good manager in Poch that brought our players together, and we haven't had that since. So I feel like Dele, he kind of needs to move away. But overall, like I said, the first 20 minutes, I actually really enjoyed like seeing Dele actually moving around and taking command of the team. But beyond that, like, I couldn't really see him again.
Yeah, I'm keen again.
All I say, Rick, is and I'm starting to lose patience with Dele as well, and I think he's lucky to be starting. But my like I said earlier, it's not so much does Dele deserve to start. It's if Dele doesn't start, who does?
Yeah.
Because do not tell me Tanguy Ndombele deserves a place in that side. Do not tell me Harry Winks deserves a place in the side, and therefore, who you're leaving Dele out for? That's our problem.
Yeah, I
Do you
agree.
know what, Rich? Do you know what? Dele, again, it's a player that polarizes so much opinion. What I couldn't understand, Rich, for me, was that he hauled him off against Arsenal for being evidently poor, and then suddenly he's captain the side tonight. And it's like, regardless whether it's a Europa Conference League tie, whether it's a game down Hackney Marshes, to give him the captain's armband after what I thought was a really poor performance against Arsenal, I just couldn't fathom that. I couldn't understand that. Maybe it's an age profile thing where maybe Skip, he felt was maybe again, although I think Skip has kind of really held his head up high in the last couple of games. I think Chelsea he came on, calmed us down. I think against Arsenal, again, he gained his possession of the ball, showed a bit of composure. I just feel with Dele, Nathan says it on the screen there, is it a case where either we do loan him out to see if he can find that form again, or is it a case now where we do allow Dele to move on just for the sake of his career and for Tottenham as well?
I have to back what Jason said exactly. If we loan him or let him go, who comes in? Because of the lack of investment and those missed windows when Pochettino was talking about getting players in and failing to sort of build on what the heights that we got to, that's when you buy. When you're riding high, go out and buy, because you will attract players, because eventually everybody goes through a cycle, all players. And it just feels like Dele's gone stale. And one week you'll get a game out of him, and then the next game you just get nothing. And, Jose Mourinho, bless him, called it spot on. Are you Dele or are you Dele's brother? And it really is, because one game you get Dele, the next you get Dele's brother. And again, he gets made captain tonight. I don't know, maybe Nuno's had a chat with him after that Arsenal game and read him the right act, and Dele said the right things, and he'll go, okay then, all right, if you still want to be part of this and you're still hungry for it, I'll make you captain on Thursday night, and let me see how you lead on the pitch with some youngsters and how you start digging in. Going back to tonight's game, I would have rather have seen us win 2-1 and not make those changes, dig in, put in a performance, show a bit of character, and then I could have sat here tonight and gone, well, do you know what? That's something we can hang our hats on, to go back to a previous analogy, because they did go backs against the wall a little bit against the team which didn't look technically or set up not too bad, but just poor players. And, these kids dug in. Dele, you could see going round as captain, speaking to these youngsters, speaking to Scarlett, speaking to a couple of others, and looked like that he was like captain material. But he didn't. So, maybe that conversation was had. So, but again, if Dele goes, who comes in? And maybe a lot of these players know that, Rick, as well. They know that they're comfortable.
I think so.
But they're thinking, if I'm 2 bob tonight, no problem, because matey boy behind me waiting to get in, he ain't even 2 bob. He's half a shilling. To quote old money there. But so they know this as well. They know that their place is quite safe because they got nobody snapping at their heels. So get somebody in behind him, young and hungry, that plays in that position, and then watch what they do when all of a sudden their place in the first team is under threat. And as much as we moan about Enoch, I do anyway, and look at Nuno and go, no, I don't think he's for me, to be honest. I can't see where that's going to come from. There's a lot of those players as well that really, really do need to look at themselves and their professional pride, and go, come on. There's working people out there putting in 60, 70 quid a week when money's tight and could be going elsewhere. We owe them something. We owe them a performance. So they're equally culpable. But the whole feeling around the club, the whole ethic around the club is just off. There's no desire. There's no drive. I want to see my club be like when Fergie was at Man United. Everybody would have died for that club. They would have died for him, died for the club, fight for the shirt. And I think that comes from the top. But I think they see at the top this you're one of the footballers, isn't you? Yeah. Listen, I'll talk to you later because I'm on the phone to Lady Gaga's manager. I'm flogging the stadium here. that's the sort of vibe I get. That, like, you know, they're just like, yeah, well, it just happens to be a football club. We trade, you know. It's like we've got the best works football team in the country, isn't it? It feels like a business, but also as a, you know, some of the people that work here have a game of football every now and then. They just happen to be fairly decent. It seems like a Enix work team rather than Tottenham.
My only worry is the coincidence is that since Fabio has not been on that bench, I don't know where he's gone. Three wins, manager of the month for Nuno, and he's gone on a break. We haven't seen him since.
Rick, there's another issue. You know, Nuno's out on the edge of the technical area and he's shouting instructions, and then behind him he's got Toot and Ploot, like, you know, Mr. I don't like transfer windows and Paratici. They're also shouting instructions. And it's like Sunday morning's kid football when you've got
the only thing I would say though, Rich, we were getting results when they were all on the bench together somehow, miraculously.
I don't know. Which other club does that? You know, it's like the well-meaning dad that's the manager of a team Sunday morning with the kids, and there's two other dads behind as well screaming instructions. It's like, who else is doing that in world football? You don't see it at any other club.
This is Tottenham though, Rich. We do things special over here. It always is the case.
Yeah.
But Jace, I want to come over to you. One of your favourite players in the squad, Giovanni Lo Celso. He actually completed 90 minutes tonight, which I know you probably can't quite believe. I know it's been a while since it actually happened. He doubled Spurs with a powerful finish to put us 2-0 up. Generally, you know, he struggled to make an impact until he's actually switched to more of a number 10 role. And, you know, he did become far more instrumental, including that nutmeg assist for Kane's third goal. He was more involved in the build-up as well. Question on the screen there from Steve Wolf, who says, has Gio ever played central, been actually given the chance as a real number 10? Never understood him on the wing. I'm actually going to go further and say that I still don't know his best position at the club. Do you? Do we? Any of us know what his best position is?
In the stands. That's his best position.
But hold on. We haven't got. But at this rate, we've got no team by the sounds of what we're saying about the players.
There you go, isn't it? No.
All honesty though, was you more impressed with him tonight, or not really?
Not particularly. I thought, you know, because of the opposition, I want to see him. I don't want to see him look tidy. I want to see him dominate a Premier League game at Premier League intensity for 90 minutes. That's what I want to see. I want to see in the 85th minute of a Premier League game, Sunday against Aston Villa, where he's played for 85 minutes and him want the ball, scream for the ball, and then when he gets it, slide a nice pass through. I don't want him to be tidy for 5 minutes of the game against Mura when there's no intensity in the game. And that's it. I mean, he scored a really nice finish. He got a nice assist tonight, but it's got to be, and that's what worries me in this Tottenham team, is that it's not just Gio in that respect at the moment. We crumble under any intensity. Any team raises the old tempo against us and we crack. And Gio gets through 90 minutes tonight, but it's nowhere near a Premier League intensity game, is it? He'll be knackered in the warm-up come Sunday because he'll be, oh, God, I did 90 minutes Thursday. I can't do another 90 on the weekend. And this is our problem. And then we'll bring Tongi on, who'll come on like that, and here we go again. And this is our problem. So we've got to get those intensity levels, and players like Gio and Tongi, they've got to be the creators in that side. They're the ones that we want to see grabbing the game. That's what we spent the 100 million quid on. And all this, he hasn't played in this position, he hasn't played in that position, and these are the two dream midfielders, but every time they play, we lose and concede goals. I mean, at some stage, one of those two has really got to stand up and dominate Premier League games consistently, not be tidy for 10 minutes.
Yeah, Jason's spot on, Rick, because like people are saying, like, is there no positives from tonight? And, you know, like grumpy old men, but there is a positive because Kane came on and does what Kane does with some lovely finishes. And he probably did need a few goals under his belt. So them coming on, it shouldn't have happened. But when they did, they done the business. And when you look at them, you go, oh, wow, their movement was good. Never mind who they're playing. Their movement was right. Everything was right. But they're bricklayers. And if Gio's not going to be a good odd carrier, they ain't laying bricks, are they? So Gio has to be right for Kane to be right.
That's a prime example, isn't it? Kane came on tonight against a crap opposition, but he grabbed it by the scruff of the neck, and in 25 minutes he got hat-trick. That's what I mean, grabbing it by the scruff of the neck, thinking, come on, we're better than this. It's time to sort this out. Bang, 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 all over.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to see.
Yeah, Nicky Wallace on the screen says, Gio, another player bought with no scouting done regarding best system he plays in. Daniel Burns says here, Gio looked far better when there was movement ahead of him. I think that was key as well.
Yeah, it's a knock-on effect for sure.
Yeah.
But I think that intensity, you know, how he looked in Spain, the intensity levels is what they're struggling with in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Maybe move him in a little bit, Gio, as Craig Bowler made a point. He played there for Betis. He played in that number 10 role. And look, he did look really good at Betis. So maybe that is worth a go. Bring him in a little bit more and do what he done tonight, but against the Villa and see what happens. You know, I mean, it can't be any worse than getting Dick 3-0 3 weeks on the trot. Get beat 3-0, get beat 4-0. But at least give it a go and have a look. You might just all of a sudden find, oh, wow, there it is. That's his spot. Like, look what he's done here in the Premier League. So, like, take a little look here. Yeah, we could do worse than try that.
Yeah, I mean, Roska, just to quickly finish up on Gio before we talk about Harry Kane, of course. You know, Gio, what is in his third season now? I mean, I think it's fair to say we haven't seen the best of him in a Spurs shirt. Question I want to ask you is, will we ever see the best of him in a Spurs shirt? Do you think will we, of course, this season, will he get games under Nuno? Because I think the problem with Gio, as has always been, is we had 2 or 3 games where he's not completed the 90 minutes, then he's got an injury, then he's trying to get him back fit, and we've never actually seen a consistent player in there to be able to form a judgment of, number one, where does he play best? And number 2, how can he actually benefit the team and what system do we put him in?
Well, this is it. Like I feel like Lo Celso and Ndombele, like both of those players, they have the same problems. You know, they're either unfit or they're injured, and they don't when they get a run of games, they can't play the full 90 minutes. We're unable to even see their full potential, and whether that's down to the way they're trained, you know, the back end of whatever they need to do outside of playing, something needs to change, because we're not seeing their full potential. And if we're in the third season of a player and then they're not actually showing what they're about, we need to cut their losses. So, but that's not something that Daniel Levy's really going to do, is he? He's not going to cut his losses on certain players. So, me personally, they're not worth. Well, I'd say Lo Celso, he wasn't worth the money that we paid for him. If I'm brutally honest, you know, we're not getting any of that back. So, I mean, yeah, number 10 position would be good for him, ideally, but overall, like, we haven't seen a good run of games to even say, yeah, this is what he does. We're still confused on what he does.
Yeah,
and our problem is, isn't it? If he was to say, okay, if people say, right, let's give him the number 10 role against Villa, he plays really well, he proves me wrong, gets a couple of assists, you think, blimey, Gio had a fantastic game today, picks up the old yellow brick as the man of the match award and thinks, lovely jubbly. And we think, right, we finally got him. But then he's not available for the next game because he'll come back from Argentina and then he'll have to serve thing. So the next Premier League game, he can't play. So this is the thing of trying to get him a run of games. Even when you want to get him a run of games, you won't be able to. And I'm not saying he turns and says he doesn't go to Argentina. It's a problem, obviously, with COVID that he can't help. But this is always going to stop him having a run of games at the moment. Same with Romero. I mean, it's one game. We've played 6 Premier League games. He started 1.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, like I say, we're going to have to manage that throughout the season. I know Nuno's touched upon that, about how we do look at that, because ultimately they are Tottenham Hotspur players. And I totally understand that, especially for, I think, a country like Argentina, for these players, it is for them very, very special. Still very, very special for them to go and represent their country. But I think there has to be an element of balance here, because we do need them available. For us, we haven't got, you know, a world-class squad open where we can keep changing the team. And therefore, we do need to have, I think, some understanding there, which is going to allow us to play those players. Now, Mura did get back into a game. It was a great strike, actually. A corner headed out at the edge of the box where Ziga Kus lashed a 20-yard volley. And to be fair, it was a wonderful strike. I mean,
it's good.
You could argue, could it have been closed down? I think sometimes you've got to just appreciate the goal. It was a great finish from them. But Spurs and real relief for Nuno. Lucas provided that killer pass. Harry Kane on. We saw that triple substitution. And Kane scored to stretch to beat the goalkeeper. And again, I think like you boys picked up on there, Jace, we'll come to you. Just that moment of quality from Kane. I think, like you said there, that's what the game had been missing. And it was a great finish from Kane. And we're just hoping that will now hopefully kickstart his season, because so far in the Premier League, no goals from him whatsoever. Is that a real confidence booster going into Villa on Sunday?
He'll have enjoyed scoring the games, but what will boost his confidence against Villa is if we create chances early on, even if he doesn't take them. If we start creating chances, we know that eventually Harry will score goals. But if he then plays the first 20 minutes against Villa, where he doesn't get a touch of the ball and he's completely isolated or whatever, then his levels of belief, I wouldn't say confidence, his levels of belief will drop. So we've got to provide him with chances. And, people are saying he's dropping too deep, but he was dropping deep last year and got top scorer and top assister. He's dropping deep because he's not getting the ball given to him and he wants to touch the ball. And when he didn't drop deep against Palace, everyone went mad that he didn't touch the ball. So, you got to have it one way or the other. You either let him drop deep or you tell him to stay up top. But if you stay up top but he doesn't get a touch of the ball in 25 minutes, everyone says he's disinterested and he's not putting an effort in. So it's a problem for him. We've got to start getting some way to create chances, either through the fullbacks or through midfield. And when we do that, Harry will look as connected as anything. I'm sure Harry wants to score goals for us. He's not sitting there still sulking as people believe.
Yeah. Rich, I want to come around to you on Harry Kane. A lot has been discussed about Harry Kane over the course of the last couple of weeks, where Spurs have had those real bad defeats, of course, to Palace, then to Chelsea, then to Arsenal, respectively. And what's been called into question is, number one, Kane's body language, and number two, his contribution to the games itself. But his finishing there tonight was all there to see. Obviously, a hat-trick for Kane. It's now his 13th hat-trick for Tottenham. I think, I say in general, it's obviously quite an incredible record. I think he's now just too shy of equaling Jimmy Greaves' record, which I think is 15, held by the late Jimmy Greaves. Kane, is that back to business for Harry Kane, or again, are we just looking too much into the opposition tonight to get carried away in terms of Kane's goals?
Well, you can only bang them in against who you're playing, and that's who we was playing tonight. He still had to take them, and he took them well. They were nice touches, and I don't know. He looked like he was off, and his body language wasn't right, and he looked to be a little bit sulky, and I couldn't quite make my mind up. And I think I said on Chris's show last week that he just doesn't look right. But I think maybe a mixture. He probably is a little bit done. He did want to go, does want to go, I think, still. So, but as that time erodes, he'll sort of accept that a little bit more of a, okay, well, I'm here for the season. So, the mood will lift a little, I think. But it's also been that case of just not getting the service either as well. So, bricklayer with no bricks doesn't build wall, does he? It's like it's as simple as that. So I think it's a mixture of him probably a little bit like, oh, I'm still here, and here we are, and so yeah, I think it's a sort of combination of all of it. But that's not going to hurt tonight, is it? So it was a positive. It really was.
And I think now, let's say, Harry Kane's actually the first Spurs player to score a hat-trick as a substitute since Ronnie Rosenthal back in 1995. God, that makes me feel so old, that in the Southampton FA Cup in March 1995. Roska, for you...
Three left footers, Ricky. 3 left footers. Rocket Ronnie that night. What a night as well. Now you've piqued my interest. Nostalgia.
I was going to say 95. I mean, that was desperate times. I mean, I don't know if we're there yet quite, but I mean, some Spurs fans will feel we're pretty much even worse than that. But I don't know. But Roska, let's come around to you. Harry Kane. I think it's a really important, 3 goals for him tonight, that hat trick, because we're hoping now, that's going to hopefully realign his focus. The man is geared for goals. I think he's still looking at that Tottenham record. Forget what's happened in the summer. He's a Spurs boy, he's a Spurs fan. I'm sure these last 3 games, like all of us, it hurts, because he comes from a Spurs supporting family, and don't get me wrong, he wanted to move in the summer. I think, again, as we always touch upon, I think no one would have begrudged him the move in the summer. It's just the way it was engineered that was the biggest problem, right? So for you, do you think Harry can now get his head down, concentrate on the Premier League, and get goals and ultimately what is the bread and butter of the football domestic league for us?
Yeah, 100%. I think just like Richard was saying, it's like he needs the service. Once he gets the service, he'll be all right. And, it's one of those ones where who's going to give him the service? And I was thinking about it as well just earlier on. It's like, if Villa lock down Kane and Son, who else is going to score goals? in that team. Who else can we rely on? And that's the thing. We're relying. Obviously, we need Kane's got to be scoring. But if he drops deep, and Son can't get into the box, who else is going to score our goals? And that's always been sort of like a concern for me with our team. You know, we're solely relying on Son and Kane. You know, obviously we're going to get most of our goals from them, but you know, we take them both out of the team. If they're both injured, who's going to score our goals? Where are they coming from? So I mean, today Kane done his professional thing. He done his thing today. But overall, he shouldn't have had to come on today, really and truly. And that's the bottom line. You know, he should have been rested for Villa and up there. But you know, I hopefully that plays into it, and he's got some confidence from that, and he's able to go into the Villa game and do his thing.
Yeah, let's be fair. You know, when at the start of the season, we didn't have Kane, and people say, "Well, see, we won without Kane and that." How are we playing? Did we create lots of chances? Were we winning 3s and 4s? Or did we win with a Dele Alli penalty at Wolves where we got battered for most of the game? Yeah. And I think Sonny scored with one of our 2 shots on target against Man City. So it's not like we were winning 3-0 and suddenly he's come back and playing stylish football. We were struggling then, and people were already moaning at our football in those first 2 games without Kane. Right. So, and I don't remember people seeing him come off the bench at Wolves and thinking, "Oh God, Kane's coming on." We were absolutely delighted to see him come on, and quite rightly so. So, if people think the only problem in this team at the moment is Kane, then they're looking completely in the wrong direction.
I agree. Yep.
Big Gareth Bale-shaped hole, isn't there, in this team at the moment, and the goals that he chipped in. You know, I mean, if you're gonna do something, Rick, your midfielders have got to chip in with those 8s and 9s and 10s. Well, you've got to have 2 or 3 midfielders getting 5, 10s, like 6, 7 goals. They come in. They're the ones that nick you one, like in the 88th minute, or that type. And that's what Bale done. And we haven't replaced him, and we haven't replaced Eriksen, and we haven't replaced Luka Modric. There's the holes in the team that we've now got.
Well, I think generally 26 goals, isn't it? 26 goals, Vinicius and Bale, 26 goals out of this team without any form of an attacking replacement. So, we wonder why we haven't got goals in the team. That's a key reason as well. Go on, Jason.
I mean, Daniel's comment on the screen there. I mean, like I say, if you're not going to create through midfield, you've got to create from the wide areas. We don't play with wingers, so it's up to those fullbacks. Doherty didn't provide one opportunity tonight, if I can remember rightly. And he got skinned early on, and you're thinking, this is a bloke that can't create, and he's getting skinned by Mura. I mean, Jesus Christ, what hope is there for the bloke? I mean, he looks so far removed from Premier League football. I mean, we used to joke about the bloke at Nuneaton Borough taking Danny Rose's place, but I genuinely think Nuneaton Borough have a better right back than Matt Doherty. It's a joke.
Well,
the man's an absolute joke as a footballer.
Well, he's now actually the 3rd choice, isn't he? When you think about it, he's got Tanganga obviously ahead of him now. He's got Emerson ahead of him, and you think for Doherty now, where is he going to really get games?
Exactly. And if he can't shine in a game like this, I mean, what have you got? You've got nothing left, have you? Nothing left.
Reguilon, I mean, he could have scored a couple at the end there with a bit more composure in front of the goal, but at time, Reguilon. We want to try and be. It's hard because for anyone that's listened to this show the last 5 or 6 years, we've always tried to remain rational, try and see the positives. We have just won 5-1. I know people might think, "Oh God, this is negative," but we're trying to see. I think a bigger picture as to where Spurs are looking to try to go. And I think at the moment we're all struggling to see. Okay. What's the plan? What are we trying to achieve? What is the objective? What is the goal? What are we working towards? I think we're just all at the moment in real disarray. And, I want to say this, the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust, we've got those guys coming on in the next week or so. They've actually requested a meeting with the board. Now, whether they get that meeting is another question. But I think definitely as fans, we just want to know what we are planning and what we're heading towards. I think once we know that, if we ever get that answer, which... guys, I don't think we are going to get that answer because we never do. If we do get that answer, I think it will allow us then to feel mentally in a bit more of a better place. Okay, do you know what? That's the target, and that's what we're working towards. And with Pochettino, that we knew with Poch, we always knew that we were working towards the stadium. We were working towards the training ground. At the moment, I know, Jace, you're laughing there. We don't quite know what we're laughing towards.
I'm just thinking the target at the moment, mate, is staying up.
It is.
I'll tell you.
That's how it feels. That's how it has to be. But the trust going to, like, you know, and God bless the trust they do.
Yeah,
They
lovely.
do
They're
an
good
hard
people. Great
job.
people.
I love them. They're great. Martin's great. Cat's great. I know that there's people that absolutely slate them, but I'm telling you, the work that them two and all that ball put in is incredible. And they don't get nothing for it. People go, oh, you know, they're paying, tea and biscuits. Nonsense, absolute nonsense. You know, I know Kat very well. You know,
they're
she's
lovely
an old
people.
neighbour of mine, and she puts so much in and gets nothing, absolutely nothing back for it. But the fact that they've had to go and ask, "What's our plan?" That shouldn't be a question to ask. That should either be the board, like the ENIC board, telling us, either giving us some direction, or just showing us on the pitch with the football and the style of play, so that it's, you know, they do their talking on the pitch, or tell us. We don't hear from them. It's like a silence from the team, from the football, and a silence from them. It's purgatory at the moment, absolute purgatory, and that's no good. That's not healthy.
Yeah, I think the key will be for us as fans is that if we know, and I said this again, I said this a minute ago, but if we know the direction in which we're going in, we'll be a lot more understanding, I think, generally, in terms of what the ambition is and what the target is. Because if they said to us, "Do you know what? We know we've messed up, and it is going to take us a 3-4 year process to get back to where we was under Pochettino. We are going to invest. We are going to try and, you know, accumulate money to get that back into the squad." Let's be honest about it, guys. If you're a Spurs fan, we're not here for the trophies, because you could go to Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea. You know, as a Spurs fan, you're here to see an exciting brand of football, I think, that wants to make you want to go every week and you fall in love with a group of players like Pochettino had us doing for a certain period. So the key for me is that if we have some kind of vision or knowledge as to where we're going to go, you can live with that. But I think it's the not knowing at the moment that is absolutely killing us. But I do want to bring it back to the football. Joe Rodon tonight had some strong moments at the back, and he made one Saloming run from his own box before the break. He'll feel that he should have more chances he got, like I say, going forward. I think only tonight, still yet to be given the opportunities really in the Premier League. I know Adrian Strocker there on says there, Ricky, we know the direction we're going, nowhere. And that's my point. We need to know where we're going. Christian Romero, again, tonight, you had busier nights in this one, but he looked composed on the ball. Roska, for you, Romero, Rodon, is that a potential pairing for you? Or do you think Romero's going to end up being paired again with one of Dyer or Sanchez moving forward?
I reckon he'll get moved around again with Dyer or Sanchez again. I feel like we still haven't found who our centre halves are. I don't know whether we will find out before Christmas. Like I just feel like Nuno's just chopping and changing, and this is the thing: the stability of the team at the moment is so unstable, where we don't even know what the starting lineup is fully, or we got an idea of what it roughly is, but it's never like the centre halves. Like Dyer and Sanchez played really well the first 3 games, and he stuck with it. But really, he shouldn't have stuck with it, because we had that last season. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, bring someone else in. We've got someone else in. And now let them work with one of these. Who's the strongest out of Dyer or Sanchez? And that's what we need to be working out. You know, I feel it'll get moved around. I think Rodon's just there for the European games, and then, you know, depending on where we go in that, he'll just be benched. So yeah, that's how I look at that.
Rich, question on the screen there from Nathan Evans, who says, after tonight's win, we need to buy Romero on a permanent deal. I think that's almost a formality, Nathan. But he says, my question is, why isn't Nuno playing him in the Premier League?
Well, I mean, the line that he's settling him in, we're bedding him in, will probably get trotted out. But settling in to what? Like bedding in to what? I just don't quite get that. When you've played in Serie A, you play for your national side. You know, it's the same. He's not having to learn really a new language. The language of football is worldwide. The game you play at Tottenham Hotspurs, the game you play in Buenos Aires and Timbuktu and everywhere else, isn't it? So I don't quite get that. He's good enough. He played in Serie A, and there's some wily old goats up front that he's had to look after whilst playing in defence. And he's done that more than capably. So put him in. Put him in and play him. It's the same as this, well, maybe he's not old enough. No, if he's good enough and brave enough, he is old enough. So I don't quite get what they're bedding him into, but that's what's going to get tried out. Same as Roden. I mean, he's had such little chances, and every time he has come in, he's looked good. He's very vocal as well.
Yeah,
he's very vocal.
How can he feel, Rich, when he's on the bench and he's watching some of the performances in the last 3 games from Dyer and Sanchez? He must be sitting there thinking, "How have I not got a look in?"
Yeah,
he must be thinking that, surely.
Exactly, and that must be demotivating in itself,
Yeah.
So there should be a level of ruthlessness with a manager, and you sort of go, right, okay, look, you're not pulling trees up for me here. You're not cutting the mustard, so you're out, and he's getting a chance because I like what I'm seeing when I do play him. I like what I see in training. He's playing. You wonder sometimes whether you go, well, I don't much fancy Sanchez, I might give Roden a game. Whether somebody in a suit comes down and goes, yeah, but we paid a hell of a lot of money for Sanchez and we paid like £4.50 for Roden. And if Sanchez isn't playing, come the end of the season, if we want to let him go, that's a bargaining tool for somebody to try and knock the price down of him. So, you start getting the economics bleeding over into the football decisions, and then that's a mess. So that I get that that goes on, but it shouldn't, should it, Rick? It should be purely based on the footballing side. So Roden definitely deserves a chance for me. But the main thing is Dyer and Sanchez at the start of the season looked like they was actually quite settled, and they looked better than they did last season. That's for sure. But no, if they're not cutting it, bring them in and give them a chance.
I think as well. In fairness to Nuno, and this is where we've all watched Tottenham the last 2 or 3 years and know the car crash that can be the Sanchez-Dyer partnership. But in fairness, he comes in. And we always talk about when a new manager comes in, players start with a clean slate, and we keep 3 clean sheets. So Nuno is judging them on those 3 games. He doesn't care what happened last season and the season before.
Exactly.
And he sees them keep 3. And then you had Romero picked up that little injury out in Portugal, didn't he? Pacos or whatever. So he was unavailable for that next Premier League game. So even if he wanted to change it, he couldn't have done. Then we go to Palace, and he's in Croatia because he buggered off to Argentina without the club's permission. When they deliberately, which is hardly a great thing to do, is it? I mean, if let's be fair, it's a new job. We look at it as football; it's a new job. But if you go and work for a new employer and your boss says, "Look, I don't want you to go and do that," and you just bugger off and go and do it, your boss isn't going to be too happy either, is he? So he misses Palace because of Croatia. Exactly, he misses Palace because of Croatia. So and then he got picked for the Chelsea game at the last minute, wasn't it? Because they got back on the Saturday morning and they played the Sunday. So he's really only been available. The only game he's really missed was last weekend's at Arsenal. And against Chelsea, we conceded 3. So Nuno thought, well, I'll go back to what was the 3 clean sheet part. So I can understand Nuno's thought process. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I can understand the thought process that Nuno's put into it. But then having watched last week, I mean, he probably. I think it will be Romero and Dyer come Sunday, but I can see Nuno's thinking of why he's done what he's done.
I definitely think Roden will feel very. I think it'll feel very hard done by to have not had more starts. I do feel for him. I think I think he'll become, if it isn't at Tottenham, he will go on to be a Premier League player, 100%. I've got no doubt about that. I think he's shown enough quality from what I've seen in glimpses that I think he's definitely got the capability to go and actually perform for a decent-sized Premier League club, and hopefully he's at Tottenham still, fingers crossed. Roska, to come back round to you. Winks getting a full 90 minutes under his belt. I think he did what was asked of him really in the centre of the pitch. I'm not going to go into the Harry Winks debate because we could be here till the very early hours of the morning. Oliver Skip again, mopping up plenty in the middle. First off, he unleashed a low shot that just flew past the left-hand post, but another impressive display. And he could have been booked, but I think he could have booked his place in the team for Sunday, which we'll come on to shortly. Højbjerg, I think he showed a lot more energy in the centre. I think he looked like a different player when he came on. I think for Højbjerg, I must say this, I didn't add this on the last show, that at the moment, I think Jason picked up on this last season many times, the bloke is doing, 3 to 4 players' jobs at once. And I think on Sunday he thought, do you know what? Stuff this. I'm not doing this. And I feel for him because there's only so much you can ask of a player. Rich, coming over to you, Højbjerg, we took it out of him last season. Towards the end, I think we just completely cracked the bloke. As Spurs fans, we just feel, do you know what? This club is killing me. I think he just thought towards the end, do you know what? I'm dead out on my feet. I'm getting no support. I look left and right. The quality next to me isn't the greatest. I've come from Southampton here. I thought this is an upgrade.
Exactly. And Sunday against that mob, he had to do 2 people's jobs because, as soon as Skip came on, we looked much better. We looked much more solid because he had another dustman alongside of him, and that midfield needed 2 dustmen on Sunday. So he couldn't do it on his own, and he fell between 2 stools and done neither. So people were going, "Oh, where was Højbjerg for the go? Where was Højbjerg? Where was?" Well, Højbjerg was trying to be everywhere because he had 2 non-defensive midfielders alongside of him. So judge him when he's got a Skip alongside of him and having to do just his own job. And then he looks more than capable for me. But all the time that, if we are going to play with just him now against a midfield that can cut through you, then you are going to see that. He's not superhuman. I like him, but he can't do 2 jobs at once. And tonight he looked okay. He's solid enough, isn't he? He is solid. He comes in, he breaks stuff up for you, but he needs another one alongside him. Him and Skip look a really good pairing, And going back to what I said before, with Skip, people went, "Oh, he's a bit young. It was only Norwich. It was only the Championship. Let's see how he gets on in the Premier League." Well, he's come in and grabbed it by the balls for me, Skip. He's really, really come in now and gone, "Yeah, go on then. I'll have a bit of that. I'll step up. I'll do it." So, if you are good enough, you're old enough and experienced enough. So it just shows you, go and give sometimes these people a chance. There was no bedding in with Skip for the Premier League. He came in and grabbed it. Good luck to him. So, but Højbjerg I do like.
Yeah, agree. Just to wrap off some of these players before we take our final break of the show, we've got Villa and a shit quiz to come. We've got to fit all this in the next 10, 15 minutes. Brian Hill, plenty of desire, drive some lovely touches, just couldn't find a way through on the night. Big hopes for Brian Hill. I'm sure, like I say, fingers crossed, we will see him on a more regular basis. Dane Scarlett, of course, making one of his very first starts of the season. Some twists and turns that showed what he's got in his locker, but the service into him wasn't really great on the night. I'm sure, hopefully, this competition will bring him more opportunities, more games, because I say the more games you'll have, the more confident it'll become. Son obviously coming on, broke away within a few minutes of coming on, set up Kane for that chance and grabbed an assist soon after. Mura also set up Kane for his goals. That will do him the world of good after coming back from injury. But yeah, like I say, a 5-1 win. After the game, we've just heard from Nuno, who said, I think it was a very good performance. I think we started well. Honestly, we started the game very strongly. The energy of the boys was important. Always important to start the way we did. We did score again and we did dominate. The only period I thought at the beginning of the second half was that we lost our way a little bit, but the reaction was very good. And overall, I think it was a very good performance. We won't go into more Nuno quotes because I can see all the excitement on my screen when Nuno talks is captivating. So what we are going to do, we are going to go for our final break of the show for our listeners on audio. Taking into this break, we've got an Aston Villa preview and we've got Anna, our Spurs XY correspondent, talking us through a real capitulation for the women on Sunday against Arsenal. Sorry to put you through it twice, but that's what we do on this show. We try and cover the women's side of the game as well. And then, like I say, after that break, we're talking about Villa. For our watching audience on YouTube, I think we've got over nearly 300 or 400 of you watching right now. So thank you so much. I would question whether you are crazy or just in love with Spurs like we are. One of the two is a balance in the middle there, to be honest with you. But let's go for it, guys. We'll do a quick 5 on Villa. It's a big game. And I do feel for Nuno, this is really the barometer as to, fans' is feeling in terms of where we go this season. And people might think, well, listen, Ricky, this is going to be the 7th game into a Premier League season. The first 3, he won Manager of the Month. The next 3, obviously, he's lost them all by quite a high margin. And you want him out. And I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is that I do think we need to see some form of a response, some form of what we're trying to achieve. And I think, to be fair, those last 3 games we've had in the Premier League, we haven't seen a direction. We haven't really seen an identity as to what we're trying to build. And Villa, to be fair to them, they're having a pretty decent season. They obviously had that devastating opening day defeat against New Boys Watford, but they've amassed 10 points from 5 games, and on the back of a massive win against Manchester United, which would give them massive belief coming into this one. A win for either side will make the international break much more bearable, and I think that's also key. We're going into an international break here. So, Jason, start with you. How big is this Villa game for you? If we look at Villa, a game in context, this was the game where, if you look back at Pochettino's reign that first season, this is where it all started to turn for him. Will it turn for Nuno on this game?
Well, I think Villa are a better side now than they were then. That's the first thing. They got a really good result at Man United. Not just a good result at Man United. They played really well at Man United. Gave Man United all sorts of problems. And they actually went to Chelsea, played on the front foot, and gave Chelsea lots of problems as well. So, like I said earlier, we crumble with intensity. And no matter how good the game or how big the game is, who's in midfield, you know, Aston Villa are really buzzing around him. John McGinn, I mean, look at the intensity that John McGinn brings to a game. We haven't got that. And then you add in, I forget the other lad they've got in there. Is it Diaz?
Yeah.
Is it Diaz? I think they got a Diaz in there, haven't they? Is it Diaz? I think it is. And then you look at the pace of the lad that came on from Leverkusen, Bailey, and things like that. Yeah. I mean, the intensity of the two fullbacks for Villa. You know, Matty Cash is having an excellent start to the season. They play so much front football, Villa, and they'll have the confidence of winning 2-1 at Tottenham last season, not that long ago either, when Reguilón came up with a fantastic goal, didn't he, for them? So, you know, Villa will be coming full of confidence. They've had the whole week to put their feet up, analyse Tottenham, try and second-guess what Tottenham are going to do. And if we leave those sways in midfield that we did last week, we'll be in massive trouble again. And, you know, we can talk about positivity and sit here and predict a Tottenham win. But if you've got half a brain, you're struggling to find any way that Tottenham win that game at the moment. The way that we're playing and the way that Villa are playing and the way we think we'll play and the way we think Villa will play. And it's hard to see Tottenham doing it. So you think we need a bit of brilliance from Son or Kane, and we need Hugo to have an absolute worldie. And if those things happen and a bit of VAR goes for us, we might get something from it. But if you honestly sit here seriously and look at the two sides and the way they're going, you can't find anything other than a Villa win.
And Danny Ings as well, Jason. I mean, he's not going to be easy to handle.
Danny Ings as well. I mean, how many goals has Danny Ings? I mean, regardless of what we think personally of Danny Ings and whether we should have bought him, he's just one of our, like Vardy, he's one of our bogeymen that always seems to score against us, isn't he? So, you know, you got that problem as well.
Yeah, I agree. Let's get a prediction from you, Jace. What are you going to go for?
I'll go 2-0 Villa.
Honest man. Get that insurance policy out there, Jace.
It's you know, like I say, if you look at it logically, if Hugo has the worldie, if Sonny and that come up with that bit of brilliance, I'm not saying we can't win it, but if you look logically at the moment, it's hard to find a way that Tottenham will win that game.
I know many will probably say that's negative, but I think you have to be realistic. You know, as a show, we could sit here, we can get carried away by a 5-1 win, but I think the reality of this show is to try and bring a sense of realism as to what is going on right now at Tottenham. And I think genuine fans that have been watching us over the past few weeks will resonate, Jason, what you're saying there. Roska, let's come to you.
Like I said, where can Nuno find that intensity and a midfield three to give us that platform against Villa? Because, like I say, we don't want Dele, we don't want Winks, I don't want Ndombele. So where is our midfield three? And even if it is Ndombele and Lo Celso, where's that intensity in them coming from? And without that, we're in trouble.
I'm more. I mean, Jamie Brown, one of our own there, Daily Hotspur, 2-1 Villa. What is going on with it? What is going on with our panel here? I tell you, they're all falling apart. Roska, let's come round to you. What are you going for here for you? What do you think Spurs can do? Because I will say, Dean Smith's side, you know, they've beaten Man United, they've beaten Villa in their last 2 games, both without conceding the goal, and they even they lost to Chelsea 3-0. They were really impressive on that day. You know, I thought they looked ever so good against Chelsea, and they gave it a real good go in that game too. So, what do you think you're going to go for here?
To be fair, I feel it might be a 1-1, but I feel that we'll come first, we'll score first, and then we'll just sit back, or they'll just come and just be relentless on us. It might be a 2-1, just like, is it Jamie was saying that?
Jamie. So
So I feel it. Yeah, either a 2-1, or 1-1. I mean, I can't see any positives. To be fair, I mean, this is the thing. This is the thing with us at the moment. People will see us as an opportunity to get some points from us. Do you know what I mean? They see we're unstable, and we've got a lot of work to do. Nuno, I mean, after this game, we can say that he's out of his depth if we lose this game. Definitely.
Well, I am going to ask one final question before we do, like I say, come on to that subject. But Rich, let's come to you. Rich, Villa itself, they've been brilliant value, as I said there, since that Stamford Bridge defeat. Winning back-to-back matches while keeping 2 clean sheets over Everton and United, who in their own right, they haven't got bad squads at all. What do you think they're going to do up at Spurs? Or what's a realistic? What do you see happening?
Well, the hope is, Rick, that firstly and foremostly, we put in a performance and we try and match them for effort and energy and guile and the sheer will to win. So that's the first thing we've got to do. That's something that's within our control that we can do. When you come up against a better team, sometimes, like Jason said earlier, you do get beat. Nobody wins every game, and you can't control that sometimes, but you can control what you do. So we need to see a performance, and we'll probably then see if these players are putting it in for Nuno. Firstly, he's got to get the team selection right, because he got that horrendously wrong last week with that midfield. So it's got to be Skip and Højbjerg to start with. And then all of a sudden you're looking like, it's going to be Kane and Son up front. And then it's where he fills in, who he trusts, who he doesn't trust, and who's going to put it in for him. And if we don't see a performance again, then you've got to start saying, like, are these players playing for him? Are these players wanting it enough? So results at the moment is just one of those things. If we get that right, if we get the selection right, Nuno gets that right, we get our effort and our heads right, and we match them, then we've got the players to beat them.
Agree.
We really have. Son and Kane, you're not going to swap them 2 up front for many others in the Premier League. So totally it's all what goes on behind them, isn't it? And if we get that right and get the energy and everything right and get balls into them and give them service, they win you the game. So that's so it all depends which Spurs turns up Sunday. Is it going to be hard working, guile, effort, playing for each other, playing for the badge? If we do, we win. If we don't, we get battered. And it's I can't give you a score on it, Rick, but that's the black and white of it at the moment. That's where we are.
In the wider.
I was going to say, I think the other massive thing Sunday is the first goal.
Of course it is. Especially being at home. Especially at home.
Score first, we get the crowd going, particularly if it's a nice early goal. I think it's really important that Harry does score. I think if anyone needs to score for us, it is Harry in a strange way to get everybody going. And then we all get at least for 10 minutes or something, we're enjoying ourselves. Whereas if we concede early and go behind, then I'm not sure there's the character in the side or the belief in the side at the moment to see anything other than down goes the heads, and we'll feel sorry for ourselves. That's the problem. And
we're massively glass chin, didn't we?
Drop.
We're such a glass chin. We take one on the chin and that's it. The legs are gone, the knees have gone. So I was saying the AJ performance was like such a perfect, boxing. It was like boxing, like Tottenham, wasn't it? It was a Tottenham performance from AJ. It's like almost
outwitted, outthought, outclassed.
Exactly. And it was like Tottenham with boxing gloves on. That team really rubbed off on him in that performance, and that's what we're like. He sat on his stool at the end of that fight, and your man's up, and he's won it. So we got to come out, got to be a little bit more Tyson Fury, haven't we, Sunday? And if we go out and do that, then we've got half a chance.
It would be that with Dion Tomado swinging with punches with no real understanding of what's going to happen. But before I hand over the reins to Richard Cracknell for the final 5 minutes, we are approaching, guys. Obviously after this game, an international break. If the worst thing was to happen and Spurs were to lose this game, let's start with you, Jace. Just a yes or no around the panel here. Does Nuno lose his job after just seven Premier League games?
I don't think the club would sack him after 7 games. I think the next international break is far more of a problem for him than this one.
which is the one which Pochettino was obviously let go in at that time as well, which was the November one, of course.
Was that the October, the end of October one? Yeah, because I think we've got Newcastle. I think Newcastle is coming up, and you think, well, Newcastle looks winnable, but then he's got West Ham, which is a massive one for the fans, and then Man United. So I think the next international break is far, and by then we might well be at the Carabao Cup as well. So that's the problem one. I don't think he'll get sacked this weekend. That's not to say I wouldn't, but I think he'll get through this break at least.
Well, just tighten that rope at the moment. I tell you, I'm trying to keep myself going here. Roska, for you, what do you think? Will Nuno go if he doesn't get that result on Sunday against Aston Villa as we approach his international break?
I agree with Jason. To be fair, I don't think he'll go. I don't think it's like a pivotal game. I feel he needs he needs the Man U's. He needs a few big games, and then I think those will decide whether he goes or not. But I think for me, it's like I'm like, let him. I feel that he needs time. I feel he still needs time. Yeah. I feel like it's still too early. But at the same time, it's just the consistent level of losses that we're seeing that makes it harder for us to actually go, well, he needs that time. Do you know what I mean? So that's how I look at it from that point of view.
Finally, Rich, obviously the international break, it's a 14-day break from football, which we can't wait. We're gonna enjoy this. I've got 2. I say I've got 2 weeks off. I haven't got 2 weeks off. I've got loads of shows coming your way. So I would say I'm having a break. My wife's listening now. Sorry, love, I've actually let you down on this one, so I have to sort that out in the morning. But generally, Rich, for you, quite generally for you, I mean, do you see the club making a decision on the basis of that Villa game? Is it that pivotal in your mind, do you think?
No chance. He won't get sacked. There's a man that deserves sacking before he does. The one that's got the selection wrong yet again, and just not getting the football decisions right yet again. So, I mean, if Levy had hired Levy would have sacked Levy by now. That's the thing. But the trouble is, Daniel Levy's not judged on the football performances. He's judged on the balance sheets, not on the team sheets. And at the moment that's still going well. So I mean, I don't think he will be out the door, because it's a massive reflection of the failure in their selection process.
I think Ali Gold said it really well. I think he says more about Tottenham than it does about anything else. If after seven Premier League games, if we're letting a manager go, like let's be clear, after Spurs had a 72-day search for a manager, and after 7 games letting him go. Now, I'm not suggesting that anything is right. I'm not saying that there does need to be that consideration. And if I was Spurs, I would be looking now at potential alternatives. I definitely would be. I would be signing out alternative managers 100%. You look at the form. I think you'd be stupid to not be looking to see, if they were to let Nuno go, who are we going for? Because no offense to Ryan Mason, who, bless him, seems like a lovely guy. Don't know him personally. Came in, did a job as a caretaker. But effectively, if we're bringing Ryan Mason back in, we are effectively writing off the whole season. So what I'm going to do is, to avoid even going into this subject, I'm going to hand over to the wonderful Richard Cracknell, and we're not going to discuss Tottenham.
Hold on. Can I ask you one question, Rick?
Go on, Jace. Yeah.
Who do you want in charge of Newcastle, Nuno or Mason?
God, I tell you, I think I'd still say Nuno.
Shall we do a quiz?
Okay, no, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Okay, that's fine.
Do the quiz. We're standing up to Richard Cracknell, the wonderful Richard Cracknell. Go for it, Rich.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, or dober večer, as they say in Slovenia. So, yes, it's time.
Right, see you later, boys. I've got to go.
You go nowhere. It's the shit quiz, and of course, as you know, I always start with a title for the shit quiz and then work backwards. So obviously playing a team from Slovenia tonight. By the way, I've Googled Slovenia and sort of having a look. What a stunning country. Absolutely beautiful. I really do want to go there, and reading a few facts about Slovenia as well. Now, did you know, Ricky, Jason, Roska, that Slovenia is the B capital of Europe? Okay, 1 in every 200 people is an apiculturalist. Yeah, an apiary is where you keep bees. An apiculturalist, they keep bees in in Slovenia. And bees are very important to the ecological systems and everything, you know, making honey. 2 million people live in that country. 1 in every 200 keeps bees. Okay. So let's turn that around. You're a beekeeper. Okay. Can you see where I might be going now?
I like that. I like that. I like that.
So on the back of this playing the Slovenian team tonight.
So the answer is Brentford.
Not a beekeeper, a beekeeper. Okay. So I'm going to give you some clues, 5 of them, 5 beekeepers for Spurs. Maybe not the main keeper at Spurs, but a beekeeper. Do you see where I've gone with this now? Are you enjoying this, Roska?
I am actually.
This to be over, can you? All right.
No,
so your first Spurs beekeeper, chaps, and shout in when you guess who it is, and I'll keep a score of who gets them. Okay. He was born the 1st of January 1987 for your first Tottenham beekeeper. Who do you think that might be? Anybody want to have a little guess, Jace?
Pleticosa.
1st of January. Who you gone with?
Pleticosa.
No. You want your second clue?
Yes, please.
Okay, he was born in Prudhoe, England, which is up in Northumberland, South Northumberland. So he was born in 87 in Northumberland. So he's a northeast, proper North lad. Born in 87.
Callum Davenport?
He's a keeper, Rick. Don't forget he's a keeper.
Sorry.
A beekeeper. To try and keep up, wouldn't you? Okay. Made appearance of Spurs versus debut appearance of Spurs versus Burnley away in the League Cup semi-final. Ben Alnwick, yes, well done, Jason. Got him. Got him. 3 clues in. Well done. Okay, so here's your second. Here's your second beekeeper. All right, do you like that beekeeper? Oh, suit yourself.
I've got it now. Take me half hour. I'm in it now.
He was born January the 28th, 1963 in Hackney, London. Born in Hackney, London, January the 28th, 1963. Any guesses? I see some guesses coming in. Oh, man alive. He's got him. Jason's got him. Takes a 2-0 lead. He's gone off like a train, like Spurs earlier this evening. Will we have a half-time capitulation and Rick or Roska come in here?
I feel like Nuno being whitewashed. I feel like Nuno.
Yeah. All right, beekeeper number 3. You ready, chaps? Born the 12th of October, 1963 in York. So a keeper that played for us, 63 again, same age as Tony Parks. Jace, I can see the old grey matter going now. You're out? Okay.
I'm at my comfort
zone.
Played
for Spurs between 88 and 90. So he was with
Bobby
us for
Mims.
2 years. Oh, he's smashing this.
This is a fix.
He's absolutely smashing this. You can't catch him. The last 2 are just like, you know, token goals. He's got his hat trick. He's Harry Kane tonight. Look, he's come on. Within 25 minutes, hat trick. Done. Job done.
I tell you what, we're
right.
beating Villa 5-0, sounding. I tell you. I'm up for it now.
Number 4. Let's see if Jace gets a clean sweep here, all right? But come on, Rick.
Come on, Roska. We've got to do something.
Born 18th of February. Have a quick shout. Shout one in. You might sneak one here, like they did with their volley this evening. Born the 18th of February, 1974. So makes him late 40s. Oh, no. Is it the post?
Ian Walker.
18th of February. Yes! No.
Yes.
No. Hit the post again.
Barry Danes.
No, he's older than that. Okay. He was born in Prague, Czechoslovakia.
Radek Cherny.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Give me a break.
He's stuffy 4-0. 4-0. Yeah,
we can't, Roska. We can't let this last point.
I'm struggling.
As Paul Schultz just said, you're showing your age, Jason. All right. Last one for you for Tottenham beekeepers. All right. He was born October the 27th, 1957 in Hayes, Middlesex.
Oh, my God. I've got no chance. I'm out of this. Jesus Christ.
Okay. Jace? Born in Hayes, Middlesex, 1957.
57.
Okay.
Could be 30 and 80. So I'm trying to think who the. No, go on.
Barry Daines.
No,
Barry Daines.
No, someone. Yeah, Chris has said Barry Daines. It is, and I might be leading you a little bit up the garden path here with this one for the final one, by the way. So think a little bit laterally with this. Born in Hayes, Middlesex, 1957. Played in goal versus.
Pat Jennings?
No, not Pat. No. Played in goal versus Man United in the 79-80 FA Cup replay away at Manchester United. Glenn Hoddle, yes, well done.
God.
When he was in goal for about an hour.
Played at Leeds as well. Didn't he play at Leeds as well?
Played at Leeds. Yeah. Harry
Leeds.
Kane's gone in goal as well. Robbo's gone in goal.
I was always going to. I almost said Robbo for a minute, but because Robbo was in goal against QPR, wasn't he?
Yes, yeah, he was. Yeah, clean.
It was Hayes. I thought no, Robbo's not from Hayes. Yeah.
Jason has smashed that 5-0. So Roska's just sat there going like, really? Like, you know, I'm a DJ, I'm a music star. I didn't sign up for this nonsense. So there you go.
This is brilliant.
Roska, that's the shit quiz. Tottenham beekeepers.
Can I say we are now officially a golf podcast? For anyone's interested to come back on Sunday, we'll have the Ryder Cup highlights if you press the red button.
Well, they're as bad as the football highlights. I tell you, the Ryder Cup ones.
Honestly, always a pleasure. Rich, mix it up next time. Give me a chance for the younger ages, please. I feel like I've completely gone back into this 40s there, and I'm absolutely rinsed. So,
Crackers, you have to change it to a Premier League night, not the Checkatrade night. So I'm not on.
Yeah, exactly.
But listen, we always love getting Rich to do these, so we'll try and get these regularly throughout the Carabao Cup shows, and of course the Europa Conference League shows coming our way. So, guys, that's it. Villa to come on Sunday. It feels like a massive game for the club in general. For us as fans, my God, we need a win. So let me just say a massive thank you as always to, firstly, Jason. Thank you as always, Jace. 5-0. Is that your prediction now for Sunday as well?
No, that's the score from the shit quiz, mate.
Oh, shit. Roska, thank you so much, mate, for coming back on. Always a pleasure having you on. And we'll have to get you back on for the season.
Definitely.
No problem at all. Fantastic. And Rich, thank you ever so much. And really enjoyed that at the end there. Can't wait to do it all again.
Yeah, I bet you can. especially with them shit quizzes. Now, thank you for inviting me on. Nice to meet virtually Roska and see Jason again, and to everybody tuning in. Sorry if it's a little bit down, but you know it's that's the way it is. But look, let's see what happens Sunday. We always live in hope, don't we?
Yeah, of course.
You know, we want Spurs to win. We don't like talking like this. We really don't. I love coming on and waxing lyrical, you know. But you have to be real about these things. But come on, Spurs, like find a bit of heart. Come on, like you know, have it in yourself.
We all want, I think it's important to stress this, we all want what is best for the club. We all want to see the club being successful, doing well, talking about the club progressing, and fingers crossed, you know, we are going to get there. It's going to take some time. You know, as Poch said, we are in that painful rebuild. My God, he said it was painful. Did it be excruciating? But I guess, you know, we're going to see what's around the corner. Again, a massive thank you to Jason, to Richard, to Roska, and most importantly, guys, for you as well watching us live. Thank you ever so much for tuning in this late. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to the channel. And most importantly, keep safe, keep well. And as always, come on you Spurs.